You know how this show works. I tell some anecdote that's largely uninteresting and try to relate it to what's going on in the world of sports right now. And Joe shakes his head and tries to figure out where the hell I'm going. But guess what? We're about to do that right now. Joe, did you know I'm part Scottish?
I did not.
Okay, I'm part Scottish. There's a stereotype about the Scottish. It's that they're cheap. It's that they're stubborn.
Okay.
And I might be a little bit of both. When I was just a sophomore in college, I spent a summer in Massachusetts interning at an ESPN radio station in Boston. And I was working out. I was trying to get bigger during the summer. So I'd come back my junior year looking hot, looking ripped, revenge bod. I started taking this protein powder. I switched brands because I couldn't find the store where I normally bought from, GNC. So I went to a vitamin shop and I spent $70 on protein powder. I found out after buying this protein powder, though, that I was mildly allergic to it. And instead of just throwing it in the trash, you know what I kept on doing? I kept on using it. First time I took it, oh, okay, just a couple scratchy throats. Third time I took it, my tongue swelled up. The third time I took it, after getting mad because I couldn't find my keys, I developed hives and went into a little bit of an anaphylactic shock kind of deal. Had to go to the emergency room, pumped with Benadryl through IV. And I say all that to say, that's what the Houston Astros were doing with Rafael Montero.
Just trying over and over again, no matter what the cost.
They spent a lot of money on something, and they were not about to throw it away because they spent the money on it, just like I spent the money on that protein powder. And eventually they came to their senses and realized, wait, we're allergic to this. We got to get rid of it. It doesn't matter how we do it. We must toss this.
Okay, so you didn't finish it.
No, but
you got pretty close.
I got halfway through it.
Okay, they got halfway through Montero's contract. Like, I see the correlation here.
They got 3/4 of the way through it. So I guess they're a little tougher than me on that front.
Well, they're also not, dying, a little
That's
bit
true.
each time they drink it.
That's true.
Now, we're dying every time they put Montero on the field.
Yeah.
But they're not.
So he's finally gone, and the question I have for you guys is if you trust the Astros brass now, because this does officially mark the end of the, hey, remember when we didn't have a GM era. It's over. From James Click's firing to the hiring of Dana Brown, Abreu, Montero, Brantley, about $100 million for those three. It looks like this is now in the past, unless you still look at the Josh Hader deal and passing on Blake Snell as things that have the Letterman jacket, Skull and Bones Society fingerprints on it. But I think right now, Joe, the Astros really want us to believe that we can trust them again, that we don't have to get nervous about meddlesome Jim Crane or meddlesome Jeff Bagwell. And that quote that we talked about yesterday from Dana Brown on the Astros flagship, where he said, ultimately, I bear the responsibility as GM of the Astros. I make the final decision. It was made by me with collaboration from the front office, talking about the Yusei Kikuchi trade. That 100% applies to this Rafael Montero move. And this action speaks way louder than words. I think the Astros are trying to convince us that Dana Brown is actually running the show. Do we believe them? That is up to you. I don't know if I do, but I know that they are trying to prove to us that Dana Brown is in control and someone who is worthy of your trust.
Yeah, I would say that it's a good faith move for the organization to realize that they made a huge mistake and for Jim Crane to eat this contract. It shows Dana Brown has some sway of what can and can't be on this roster, but I can't give them full faith back into this front office yet because the picture I saw a bunch of people have posted it because it was on TV of Dana Brown and Jeff Bagwell looking like they're having a very serious conversation in one of the booths at the game the other night. He's still there. It's still Baggy. It's still the comments from earlier this season when Reggie Jackson was on John Heyman's podcast and talked about how him and Biggio and Bagwell and Crane, and Dana Brown are collaboratively making these decisions. Until the Houston Astros say, that Jeff Bagwell no longer has say
Hmm.
in personnel decisions and is no longer around the team in that capacity and goes back to just being a filling guy on TV and radio and showing up for photos, I can never give them full faith again.
Well, that's never
because
going to happen.
That's a problem. Like, let's say the Astros miss the playoffs.
Wow, Joe Hader.
You think there's any chance they just fire Dana Brown?
No, I don't think after this year.
So let's say it's next year. They fire Dana Brown after the 2025 season.
If they miss the playoffs back-to-back years,
Yeah.
yes, they will. And they'd probably move on from Espada as well. But I think both Espada and Brown, at least to me, are safe for the rest of this year.
In 2025, then let's say Dana Brown has been fired, and it's going to take them another 4 months, like it has the last 2 times to hire a GM. You guys don't think that Jim Crane and Jeff Bagwell are going to be out there signing free agents again?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if they have the money.
Like, they might not have the money, but I just don't believe that with given the opportunity to make their own decisions, whether it's through Dana Brown or without him down the road, that they wouldn't do so. So they've done a lot of damage into my belief about this front office. It's not necessarily a Dana Brown thing. It's the people who are really in charge. And if they have the opportunity, will they spend recklessly on a player like they probably did with Josh Hader?
It really, I think, depends on what they're actually, one, willing to spend, and also, two, and I, to be perfectly honest, I don't 100% know how all this works, but if you buy out a guy from his contract, does that contract still count towards the luxury tax threshold? I would think so, because it would be rather unfair for a good team to have a bad contract and not be able to get out from underneath it. Like the Dodgers could just buy everybody out all the time. Maybe the Mets could do the same thing as well. I don't know the answer to that. Maybe somebody else does. 713-780-3776 to call, to text in the meantime. We've got Jay. Jay wants to weigh in on your beloved Houston Astros. What's up?
Hey, good afternoon, guys. Look, I don't know if I can trust the Astros. It's fun going to the games, but, like, I mean, if Jaden Split got fired, or not fired, but let go after winning a World Series, I mean, Dana Brown got to go if we don't make the playoffs, or if we lose in the first round. He's got to go. Everyone in the office with him got to go, including Bagwell. Like, buddy, just go back to getting drunk behind home plate and watching games.
Whoa!
Just do that for me. All right? And then the doctors, let them go. I mean, the diagnosis they're doing, they don't know what they're doing, so let them go. Kaz McCormick, JB, McCullers, everyone, just clean out house. No matter how the season ends, whether a World Series or eliminated in the first round, just clean out house. And appreciate it.
All right, Jay. Clean house.
Jay wants to fire everybody.
Jay wants to play Layla by Derek and the Dominoes, the end part on the piano, and take everybody out like in Goodfellas after the Lothansa heist, when they, everyone ends up getting got. I think Samuel L. Jackson's the first one.
Mm-hmm.
And that one guy who's got the afro, he's like hanging from from a meat hook.
Oh, that's such a great scene. That whole scene's so good.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with him about the medical team, though. Can they fire those guys? That's the only one I'm like really stand behind Jay with. Like, it's not time for a change within your medical department yet.
They don't need to miss the playoffs to fire the medical.
Yeah. Like, I don't think
they can start working on their resume.
I don't think they need to fire Dana Brown. I think he's done a fine job, it seems, with what he's allowed to do, but that's why he's not really allowed to do everything.
Seems like it would be very easy to announce that they've changed medical staffs, training staffs, as opposed to what you were asking for, Joe, which is to have the Astros say, we disavow Jeff Bagwell, which of course would be crazy for anyone to say about one of their few Hall of Fame players. You can't do it. You just can't. And you don't want to admit that he's had a role, even though he has basically said that he has had a role. It's a weird place that they're in. And I don't know what the correct setting is to confront them on this, because if you have Dana Brown or Jim Crane available to the media again, and we haven't seen Jim Crane at all this year, maybe somebody will ask it, but they're probably going to have to glad handle the way that they ask it, because it's credentialed media and you don't want to get, a spanking from the Astros and have your access revoked. It is tricky because I don't think there's any official titles here. We're talking about consultants, essentially. So You ask Jim Crane point blank, he's going to say, no, this is Dana's job. And I think that they're trying to like now prove it with actions on top of that.
Yeah, they and that's why I believe Dana's quote from yesterday that you just read as well is really about, where he said it was his decision to make these moves at the deadline. But you're right, they put themselves in an awkward position with Bagwell. It's one thing that I would advise any team to never ever do. It never ends well. The Broncos and John Elway doesn't end well. St. John's.
They did win a Super Bowl with Elway, though.
They did, but still, when you have to fire him eventually, it's
this
awkward.
one's for John.
St. John's with Chris Mullins when he was there. Patrick Ewing at Georgetown. It's always kind of awkward when you bring down like a hometown hero.
Texans.
Remember when people were like, Andre Johnson should be a part of the front office? That's a bad idea.
Whoa, why?
Because what if you have to fire him eventually?
Joe, he's going into the Hall of Fame, for God's sake.
But you don't want to have to fire a Hall of Famer.
Joe,
It
this week.
sucks.
This week, you're taking drive-bys and Joey
No,
Lopafito.
No.
You brought up Blair Henley's name from the grave and peed all over it and then buried him again.
No, I'm telling Andre, don't take that job, Andre. Like don't do it. It puts you in an awkward position with your fans because they have to be upset with someone that they love.
Okay.
People don't talk about Jeff Bagwell, the player, anymore. They talk about Jeff Bagwell, the GM.
Or Jeff Bagwell, as Jay said, the guy who likes to imbibe. Nothing wrong with imbibing, guys. Back in the 70s, these guys were all hammered when they were making moves. Okay, cut them some slack. Let's have a drunk workplace again, like it's Mad Men, huh?
These guys probably drink and make deals on
Martini
the
at
golf
10 a.m.
Yeah, like they're drinking. Like that still happens. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
I feel like James Click doesn't though, and that's how you.
That's why you got it kicked out.
Yeah,
Don't be a bitch.
that's why you trade Bloss, Wagner, and Lopafito
Yeah.
for Kikuchi.
I mean, he's a party killer. He's a vibe killer. Okay, you know, like listen, I respect all those who are going through sobriety, but if you're not, buzzkill alert. Hey, James Click, he showed up at 6 a.m. this morning to crunch numbers. He didn't even take in the shotgunning at 8. What's going on here? Sorry, I listen. I think Bagwell's in recovery as well. So how dare you assume somebody going through it is not
Was not me.
going through it anymore? No, I'm talking about the caller. I'm not talking about you.
I'm just making sure that there's no confusion here. That I also disassociated myself.
I haven't
the
put
call.
any words in your mouth this segment.
I'm just
Come
making
on.
sure.
Or at least in the last 3 minutes. There was a texter the other day who said Paul's a bully, and it actually hit me hard. I was like, damn, I kind of have been one of late. I have been a little bit of a dick.
If you're okay on a scale of like 1 to 10, 10 being the O'Doyles,
The O'Doyle.
you're like a 3.
A 3? Okay, well that you know what that reflects that I need to improve on myself.
I've been bullied way more in my career than I am right now.
That's good. Okay.
Yeah.
Who's bullied you the most? Killer Bees. It's fine. You don't have to say it. That Joe
The radio
George-
show might be on at 3 p.m. today, and it might or might not be on this station.
Yeah, I was gonna say which one that's on at 3 p.m.
I left myself open. Okay.
So it's between those two.
Well,
I
lots
don't
of
know if
shows
it's
on at 3.
A or a B or what, but
How far down the alphabet? We're
you
going?
don't only have to go 2 letters.
Oh, okay.
Maybe.
Interesting. Very interesting.
They still bully me.
They do actually.
The other day they were talking about me again.
It's crazy. They miss you. That's why.
Yeah. Junior Bronco says, Joe, you deserve all the bullying. Whatever.
That's not nice, Junior Broncos.
You're the biggest bully, Junior Bronco.
Junior Broncos is the
Twitch.
biggest bully on the Twitch, which is saying something because our Twitch, I mean, listen, we love them. They stick around, but my God, there's some toxic MFers.